welcome to Fireside Chat. We have with us Ravindra Kelkar, who's the Vice President of Application Delivery and Security for APAC and Japan, Citrix. So as you know, the last year has been extremely difficult for the entire world. So the technology world was no different. People have innovated both at the buyer end as well as the technology provider end. A lot has changed in the cloud computing, virtualization, and the security space as an ensuing outcome of these wide changes. To understand more how the markets have shifted, how customers have adapted themselves, and how technology providers have helped to close the gaps, Ravindra Kelkar will be sharing some of his invaluable insights. Hello and welcome to this conversation, Ravindra. A warm welcome to you.
So looking forward to talking to the audience on new emerging trends and how are we looking at our next 18 to 24 months with the lens of technology provider.
Absolutely. So that brings me right into the first question. So how specifically have the last 12 months been for Citrix, and what do you envisage as the next 12 months, both from an India and APAC perspective? So if you could really walk us through what really happened, in terms of technologies, in terms of focus areas, what transpired and what you expect to transpire, Ravindra, all yours.
So last 12 to 18 months have been all about connecting people with technology, right? Because what disrupted most in the pandemic is people, because they couldn't turn up to the work or work in the way that they were used to in the past, right? So obviously enterprises had to gear up to give them technology applications access, to do their work on a day-to-day basis. Citrix has always believed that work is not a place you go to, but work is what you do, right? And that became very, very mainstream in the current pandemic. The way I look at it in terms of last, say, 12 to 18 months and next, 12 to 18 months, last 12 to 18 months, I think, was all about the rush of connecting people with technology, as I said, right? And many times as IT owners or as security buyers, we might have taken some shortcuts, right? People were okay with okay experience, right? Which is not going to be the case for next 12 to 18 months, right? So last 12 to 18 months was all about getting, people connected. If I need to have access to 12 applications on a day-to-day basis, giving me access to those 12 applications. But moving forward, now the gear will shift and people will talk more about experience, having the same experience irrespective of place of work, and really settling down as people turn to work, but work in the new model where constantly you're not spending as much time in the office, but in the place that you like and really getting your work done. So in short, that's how I see the last 12 to 18 months. Is always next 12 to 18 months moving forward. Chanteri.
Sure. So you moved to a new role quite recently, within the last quarter. So what exactly has shifted due to the new role? So if you could elaborate a little on that, and also specifically about Citrix's go-to-market strategies more at an APAC level. So if you could just elaborate a little on that.
Yeah, sure. So from my role perspective, it's now, not necessarily restricted to India, but, APJC, Asia Pacific, Japan, and China, and more importantly, focused on two architectures, which is networking, which is now what we call application delivery, and security, which is the new emerging and area where, Citrix is investing a lot moving forward to really gear up for giving solutions in the new, way of pandemic. If you look at Asia Pacific, Japan, and China, right, it's pretty diverse. And even within, say, just India, there are different target segments which have different level of maturity. So I will necessarily not go into specific countries and within that, what are different verticals doing, but really stick to the mainstream, which is all about the new normal or hybrid work and what's happening in the context of that, right? So one thing that we all agree has definitely changed is that people have moved beyond the firewall, right? And people are going to choose their work of place and not necessarily come to the office. That basically talks about 3-4 promises that we as IT vendors need to make And our entire go-to-market is evolving around that, right? First is experience, right? Users will ask the same experience that they were used to, or even better experience with passive times that they were used to, as if they were working on corporate given devices in the office, right? They are probably now expecting better experience with what's happening with us as a consumer of technology in B2C world, right? Look at an airline application today. The look and feel simplicity of an airline application is very, very different than when I come to corporate environment where I'm flooded with host of applications, each of them having its own security, authentication, look and feel being different, things like that. Visa is an airline application. Whether I book the seat, I need to see where would my luggage arrive after landing at that airport, or I need to book a hotel, or I need to book, uh, you know, uh, uh, conveyance. It's all out of the same interface. Users are now expecting that kind of experience to come to the corporate world, right? And Citrix is doing quite a lot of work there, and I will talk about it. Second is really the choice. Choice not only in terms of physical workplace, but shadow IT, as they talk about, right? People need application access to applications that they need from their business standpoint, which are not necessarily apps that are approved by corporate IT, and then corporate IT needs to secure those applications. Number two, they are going to be working on laptops, desktop devices that are not necessarily sanctioned or given or authorized by the corporate IT, BYOD as a big concept that's coming in, right? So second pillar is all about choice. I think users are wanting to have that freedom to really decide the choice of technology that they will use, time of work, and all of that. And third is the security, right? As I said earlier, that users have moved outside the firewall, and entire IT world was structured about users coming to the office or to the branch in particular and communicating from branch to the corporate data center and backwards. In the pandemic, couple of things happened. Number one is people have moved outside the firewall, right? So this whole notion of perimeter security is going to go away, and people are talking about zero trust, right? Because you never know who is coming into your corporate network using what kind of device. So that's number one thing that I changed from a security perspective. Second thing is that now users are coming from as many offices, because number of offices is equivalent to number of homes of employees. And how can you have the old way of security, which is centralized, right? Of bringing all the security traffic to the security operators, which is deployed in customers' own data centers, and then switching the traffic to the cloud. With users being widespread, right, for multinational organizations around the globe, why can't you have a security model which is now moved from corporate data center into cloud, and users are directly hooking on from their respective locations from the devices that they want directly into cloud. So moving forward, there is quite a lot of action that will happen from a security perspective, and security being majorly delivered out of cloud. An old way of doing things, which is VPN, are clearly going to be things of the past, and we'll move forward. So entire GTM of Citrix, which is the question that you asked, are actually centered around these three pillars: experience, giving much more better experience to the users through digital workspace platform. Second is the choice of making applications very intuitive on the device that you use, on the networks that you are used to using technology like SASE to give better user experience. And then third is about security and the models of new trust models that I spoke about around zero trust and things of that sort. So those are really the key things which are really common across all markets within APJC, because this entire experience of working from home is a forced experience that have been forced equally on all industries. Right?
So, Ravindra, do you have any specific use cases of how customers are kind of now observing these key changes in terms of your shift, or rather your continuation or enhancement of GTM? So are there any early signs or use cases or trends that you have observed from an APAC standpoint?
Absolutely. A whole lot of use cases, but let me speak about a couple of them which will be relevant to larger audience who are really watching this interaction. Number one, is really zero trust. We're working quite extensively, especially with ITS companies, to streamline the onboarding process for employees. Right? We're working with one of the largest system integration company in India to onboard about 40,000 users without they coming to office, right? And on devices that they will buy and cross charge back, to work from home. Bonus and all of that for this large SI company. Second is the recent Reich acquisition as an example, right? We're working again with a knowledge, a BPO firm around this work type of making people collaborate better through a project management software or a tool that we recently acquired from the market called Reich, right? It is more of a work management platform. There is quite a lot of work happening on that. As you obviously know, we've worked extensively with customers in India on migrating their WAN from old technologies to software-defined WAN, and we happen to be one of the largest OEM from a footprint perspective in the marketplace on SD-WAN. Couple it with moving the security to the internet, right? We're working with 3-4 large firms right now to migrate their entire security apparatus from on-premise into the cloud and integrate secure internet access, which is a new solution around the gamut of moving security to the cloud that I spoke about, integrating that with SD-WAN and really enabling their journey to SASE, right? So in nutshell, spoke about zero trust, spoke about working with the customer on work management platform, which is the new acquisition from Citrix called Right. And third, about really partnering with the customers on this entire SASE journey of bringing new emerging networking and security technologies together and integrating it for them, especially to fuel work from home use case scenario.
Sure. So just to understand, any pertinent or significant observations that you have in terms of similarities or differences and challenges that each market that you have really observed closely have faced? So have there been any specifics that you have as observations at either a micro or a macro level? Your thoughts.
Yeah, before we go to differences, first commonalities, right? I think all the board members, CIOs that we're speaking to, first of all, agree that there has to be a better way of this entire notion of experience with employees, right? Now the differences happen because of a couple of things, right? Obviously, with this pandemic, there are a few specific industries that have been impacted financially, right? Vis-a-vis others who have continued on their growth journey. So ones that are impacted are they're really seeing how they can slowly make transition to some of these technologies, so they might be a little behind as compared to some others who probably had already started their journey towards cloud, moving out of old technologies like VPN. We feel they are the ones who are embracing some of these technologies faster, better. Number two is larger the company, adopting some of these new technologies become more difficult, right? Because they have invested in the data center, they have existing ways of doing things. Vis-a-vis that, we have found that some of the mid-market customers who necessarily did not have investment in old technologies related to security are the ones who are migrating to SASE and zero trust much faster than some of the last customers, right? So first message is mainstream, everybody realizes they have to make the transition, it's matter of time. Matter of time is then decided based on whether I have the funds to do it, because everything is urgent in a business, right? And number two, whether I can really throw away that legacy infrastructure so fast and how fast can I really migrate, right? So differences are only because of these two aspects, but across the board, customers are really looking at better platforms to give better experience to their individual customers, which is employees.
Sure. Very much, in terms of your observations, I think spot on. Because I think the more we talk to people in the digital decision making space, the one thing that they're actually looking at is to how to really circumvent the change and still retain the same superlative or same standard experience for all stakeholders. Because I think the dynamic has changed dramatically and is not likely to kind of shift too much, other than maybe becoming, as you rightly mentioned, a more hybrid model going forward, but I think parts of this paradigm that has shifted will continue to remain, if I presume things right. Well, what's your take on that?
Absolutely. In fact, this is going to be another inflection point, so to say, right? I think everybody realizes that organizations which are digitally better prepared were able to manage wave one, Feb to March to April transition last year pretty well. And now, if you don't embrace the new world of work, you have lots of complexities, right? One is including you being preferred employer. Lots of new employees are going to ask this as just the baseline, right? They're going to ask. I've in the customer interactions I am having, customers are saying that new generation employees are asking them, "What's your work from home policy?" Right? Can I do X, Y, Z? Can I prefer, location of my work and things of that sort? So I don't think it is something that customers can afford to accept over a period of time. It's the baseline, and how fast they can incorporate some of these changes is really will decide how they are better prepared to manage the future now. So it's not the question of yes or no; it's the question of when, right? So that's the way I feel about the changes, Shantini. These are all irreversible, and faster we accept them, it is better.
Absolutely. We have very clearly moved from nice to have to must have, very clearly. Great insights. Thank you so much, Ravindra, for, making time out of your busy schedule and quickly joining us for this fireside chat. Thank you very, very much. And that was Ravindra Kelkar, who's the Vice President, Application Delivery and Security for APAC and Japan, Citrix, joining us on Fireside Chat. Thank you so very much.
For more updates from CXOTV, please like and subscribe to our channel.